Good morning. It is 4:10 a.m. Saturday, the 12th of August, 2023. I am the Wolfman, and I've decided to record a video because I started channeling while I was meditating, and so here we are. And we are in a predicament as humans. We're in a pickle, and the pickle that we are in is that it is possible to see things from the cosmic perspective. And if you go to the cosmic perspective, you can see that everything is perfect. You can see that anybody doing anything foolish or stupid, creating any suffering, is actually on the path to their own enlightenment, and they will inevitably get there no matter how many wrong choices they make. From the cosmic perspective, it's like the universe is like this giant Rube Goldberg machine in which it's difficult to envision if you realize that there are 7 billion people and we're not the only conscious agents here. That's too complicated generally for my mind to comprehend, to envision. But if you were to boil it down and see what the universe is for one person, a person is a conscious agent, right? So you look at the universe and you for one person and you imagine this giant Rube Goldberg machine with one conscious agent in the middle. And so there's this room where they're isolated from the rest of the machine, and eventually a marble will roll into that room. Now they've got a port that they can drop it in on the left and a port that they can drop it in on the right. If they drop it in the left port, it will trip the blue dominoes. And if they drop it in the right port, it will trip the red dominoes. But in any event, both the red domino and the blue domino fucking trip another marble, which is going to roll around and restart the machine. And so there is choice, and you do get to change your experience a little bit along, because let's imagine that there are windows in this chamber and you could look out and see the way the dominoes fall. And so this conscious agent in this Rube Goldberg machine does get to shape his or her experience a little bit, but he still restarts the machine, like no matter what. And so, in the same way, the universe is perfect because no matter there are choices you can make that will cause more or less suffering, but at the end of the day, it's all going to end and it's all going to begin again. And we all volunteered for this. Actually, we are the ones who said yes. We've been through this all before, and we agreed to do it again. And there are some who said no, but because we said yes, we don't know about them. And we can't. As long as the world is divided, the universe is divided into those of us that said yes and those of us that said no. Part of saying yes is agreeing to not knowing what happens to the one that said no. And so we're the ones that said yes. And we're in the machine. We're conscious agents in the machine. And we do have choices. And we can, if you want a blue universe, you can have a blue universe. And if you want a red one, you can have a red one. But at the end of the day, it's all going to start over again. And you're going to get enlightened. You don't have a choice about that. You could delay it or you could make it happen faster. But the actual enlightenment happens outside of time, so nobody that cares about enlightenment, that understands enlightenment, really cares whether you stop, whether you slow it down, whether you make it happen faster. So that's one perspective. That's the cosmic perspective. But then there's the human perspective. And in the human perspective, we have children on this planet who are working knee deep in water, and I'm talking about children under the age of 12, like babies, like they've got to be older than toddlers for the most part because toddlers can't really get any work done. But like we have child slaves in this country, not in this country, I'm sorry, on this planet, we have child slaves, like human beings who are under the age of 12, who are standing knee deep in water for 16 hours a day, scraping for conflict minerals. And the cell phone that I am recording this video on is made of the minerals that are produced by this slave labor. And it's pretty horrific, you know. And there's war, and there's the military-industrial complex, of course, turning human lives into money for themselves on a fairly regular basis. And there is, privately owned prisons where we put people in cages, and the government pays. It's like a hundred. Last time I checked, it was like $145 a day per inmate. And so the game is, how little money can I spend on these people that I've locked up, and how much money can I get out of the government? And so you're seeing me in the human perspective. This is real shit, man. Thanks. So there's a lot. There's a lot we need to work on. There are people in cages, man. I don't know if you've ever been locked up, but it's not cool. It's not cool. Excuse me, I need to get a handkerchief. Give me a moment. Okay, so we've got child slaves, and we've got, most of our tax money going to the Pentagon to blow people up. This is I'm really feeling this right now. I don't want to blow anybody up. I've been to war. It's not it's not a great time. And we're taking our own people and we're throwing them in fucking cages for owning a plant. And some of the people in jail, I don't know, I'm not saying that we can get rid of jails. I'm not saying that we can get rid of jails. I don't know what to do with rapists and murderers. I don't think we can just let them roam free in society. But it's a horrible thing to do to a person, to throw him in a cage. So even if we have to do it, I think it's important to stay open, to keep your emotional heart open, and to acknowledge the fact that you're doing horrible things to people, and it doesn't matter that some of these people are rapists and murderers, because if you close your heart and you go, he's a fucking rapist, fuck him. But it's a human being. And so, we gotta throw him in a cage, because otherwise he's gonna run around raping people, which is objectively worse than throwing somebody in a cage, but it's still a horrible thing to do to a person, to throw them in a cage. And if we lose track of that, if we go too much of the cosmic perspective and say, oh, this is what has to be done, it's all perfect. And then, then we start thinking it's okay to fucking throw somebody in a cage because they were reckless driving, because they, had a psychological episode, and didn't fucking respect the police enough when they were pulled over, because they were growing plants that the government doesn't want around, because they were experimenting with their own consciousness, because they fucking didn't pay taxes, we're one of the freest countries in the world, and yet the government comes along and says you have to pay me money, and if you didn't sign on for this, but if you don't pay the money, we're going to throw you in a cage. This is what happens if you let your heart close and you don't feel how awful it is to throw a human being in a cage. We're not meant to be caged, man. We're meant to be free. And so the prisons really, really bother me. But what do, right? You gonna go storm a prison? You gonna go, let them all free? Overthrow the government? Like, this is very tricky because we don't want to create more suffering in our activism. We want to alleviate suffering. We want to make adjustments that work, that alleviate suffering and don't cause more suffering. Like first do no harm type of thing. And so it's very important to keep a cool head when you're making actions, but we have to balance. This is the pickle that I'm talking about. We have to balance all of this. We got to keep a cool head, but when we make decisions, but at the same time, you got to keep your heart open. Otherwise, you're going to make logical decisions that are horrific. And you're going to do horrible things to people. Oh, Jesus Christ. You can do horrible things to people because your heart's closed. And so we got to keep them both, our minds and our hearts, in the face. Excuse me. I'm sorry. In the face of everything that's going on, we got to keep our hearts open. We got to keep our minds clear. And we've got to maintain the cosmic perspective that everything is actually perfect without neglecting our responsibilities as conscious agents of change. It's a fucking lot. So here we are. Here we are. Oh, and then the system has been set up in such a way that if you want to eat, and if you want not to be dragged out of your home by police officers with guns and pepper spray, which they will use fairly indiscriminately, because they've been trained that the merciful thing to do is to spray chemicals in someone's face instead of shooting them, which might be true. I don't know. It doesn't seem great to fucking spray chemicals in somebody's face and hit them with sticks and, cuff their hands behind their backs and drag them into the street. But it might be better than shooting them. I'm not sure. It's at that, once you've gotten to that point where those are your options, it's pretty rough. Fucking tase them, put, thousands of volts of electricity through their body. What are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna fight at that point. That's my alarm. Means I need to go take a shower, get ready to go get on a plane. Um, so I need to wrap this up. So, right, and so if you want to stay in your home and you're renting, which most of us are at this point, I'm not. I own my home. Um, my home is a trailer that was built in the 80s and it's fallen apart, but I own the trailer and I own the acre of land that it's sitting on. And so as long as I pay my taxes, then I don't have to worry about it. But even if you're not paying rent, you've got to pay taxes. So you got to pay somebody. And if you don't pay them, the police will come and drag you out of your home. Now, it might take a few years to get to this point, but if you just go, you know what? I am a living being on the planet Earth, and I've claimed this area, and I shouldn't have to pay anybody money in order to stay here. That's a fairly reasonable thing to think, honestly. But if you do that, what will happen is that government agents, police officers, will come and they will drag you out of your home and spray mace or pepper spray in your face and zap you with electricity, hit you with sticks. That's the way our fucking society is set up. You can't just claim a space. You can't just say, yeah, I don't know, I've got a right to be here. No, you have to own property. You have to own the land. And even if you own the land, you have to pay taxes on it. And if you don't pay those taxes, then they will, the government will take your land, take your rights to the land, and then if they sell that to someone else wants to do whatever they want to do with it, then the government will come and they will drag you out of your home, and they will beat you with sticks, and they will sap you with electricity, and they'll spray chemicals in your face. And that's just the reality of the way our society is set up, and we all feel fairly powerless to change it. And so so you have to have money, right? Because even if you manage to buy an acre of land and you plant yourself a nice garden and you get yourself a couple of goats or pigs or whatever, and you've got your own food coming from the land, like, you still have to have money to pay the taxes. There's no getting off the grid. It's next to impossible. And even if you do manage it, you go hide out in the national forest, you're breaking the law. Like, it's against the law to just exist without paying somebody. It's against the law to exist for free. This is the pickle that we're in. And so you have to have a job, and you have to have money. And the way society is set up, the easiest way to get money, at least the easiest way to figure out how to get money, is to just get a job. And so they keep us working. And it's like, okay, so I don't have to go to my job on Monday. Technically, like, I'm a free person, legally speaking. I don't have to go to my job on Monday. But if I make the decision over and over again to not go to my job, and I don't figure something else out to get money, eventually they're going to drag me out of my home and beat me with sticks and zap me with electricity and spray chemicals in my face. And so, am I really free or am I really enslaved? And so, wage labor, to some degree, is some type of slavery. It's not as bad as, like, literal slavery by a long shot, because there does seem to be a way out for the most clever. There does seem to be. It seems like there's some kind of a way out. But my point is, we're all sort of under duress to go to jobs. Society is broken down. The churches are empty. We don't have community anymore. Humans are not meant to be alone. Okay, and we're not alone, really, because I didn't make this shirt, and I didn't make the shorts that I'm wearing, and I didn't make the chair that I'm sitting in, and I didn't build the house that I'm living in. So, like, people are helping, because that's the only way that this works, really. We're not cats. We don't, have like mating pairs and solo hunters. We're none of that. We're pack animals. We're social animals, and we're built that way mentally, emotionally. The lone wolf human doesn't really work. You're not sewing your own clothes. You're not growing your own food. Like, we're all working together. But we've developed a society that tries to pretend that we're not working together, and so and so so there's a lot of suffering, and I want to bring it to an end. Okay, and so I had this idea of these sanctuaries, right? Um, where I'm going to help people get away from the slave labor, the wage labor, right? And yes, there are like legit mines where there have child slaves that literally get whipped if they try to leave. And I want to do something about those as well, but I don't know what to do about those. And so I feel like I need to be a much more powerful entity, financially speaking, before I try to tackle that. But in the meantime, the idea that I've had is that I am going to build a community, and we want a large park type of area with multiple stages, like for bands, and we're going to rent the place out for concerts and festivals, and that is how the money is going to come in. And we are going to, once it's profitable, we're going to start bringing in people, and every month we'll bring a few people in, and they'll be able to stay there for 6 months, and we'll pay for their food and we'll pay for their shelter, and they can come in and they can work on their projects, whatever it is. Like, we don't need any. These people are on scholarship, and we get them off of the fucking hamster wheel, where you have to work for your living, only for 6 months. But it's 6 months of freedom that we're trying to give people on scholarship. And so that's the basic idea of the sanctuaries. I've got notebooks and notebooks full of the actual plans. It's gonna work, like, we've got to get there, but it's gonna work, and it's starting here, and it's starting now. And if you're interested in joining with me and being a part of this, my number is 520-505-1093. And if you want to be a part of the Sanctuary Project, call the number, leave a voicemail, or text, and talk to me. We're going to fix this. Like, we're not going to fix the whole thing, but we are going to take a bite out of slavery. We're going to free people. We're going to free people here in the U.S. who are wage laborers, who are under duress because between, rent and property taxes, they are under threat of being dragged out of their homes, beaten with sticks, sprayed in the face with chemicals, and zapped with electricity if they don't work, which is not fucking freedom. So we're going to start there, which is a slightly easier problem to solve. And then when we become a financial powerhouse and we have the ability to actually do something about it, then we're going to start looking at the literal slavery that's happening in our planet, and that's going to be the next thing that we're going to try to tackle. And yeah, I'm like, you can look at the rest of my videos to see the type of person I am. Like, I'm open. I'm an emotional person. I'm a logical person. I feel like I'm pretty well balanced. I'm honest, because I have to be. And so, if you want to join with me, like, I'm struggling, but I have a fucking plan. and I'm not willing to sit this one out. Uh, so with or without your help, I'm gonna do this. But I'd like you to come along. So that's that's the invitation. Call the number, text the number if you're interested in joining. We're gonna fucking do this. Like, we're gonna fix this, and yeah. So whether or not you call me or text me, may your heart be happy. May your mind be clear. May you find satisfaction in all your endeavors, and may you find ultimate satisfaction. Kon omne, kono yoko.